President Trump has announced a one-month delay in the implementation of the 25% tariffs on a wide range of Canadian imports, pushing the new effective date to April 2nd. This decision follows discussions with Canadian officials and strong concerns raised by various industries that would be impacted by the tariffs. In response to this temporary postponement, Canadian Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc has stated that Canada will also delay its planned second wave of retaliatory tariffs, valued at $125 billion, until April 7th. However, the initial round of Canadian tariffs, targeting $30 billion worth of U.S. goods, will remain in effect as previously planned. Different provinces in Canada have taken various actions in response to the ongoing trade tensions, with British Columbia's approach standing out due to its strategic role as a key transit point between the U.S. mainland and Alaska. British Columbia has announced plans to introduce legislation granting the province authority to impose tolls on commercial vehicles traveling through the province en route to Alaska. The move is intended as a direct response to President Trump's tariffs. According to BC Premier David I, the objective is to send a strong and unequivocal message not only to the U.S. President, but also to Alaska's Republican congressional representatives and the state's Republican governor. The proposed legislation will also include provisions requiring that low-carbon fuel additives for gasoline and diesel be produced domestically within Canada. Furthermore, the legislation would equip British Columbia with additional tools to eliminate internal trade barriers, reinforcing Canada's broader strategy to reduce its economic dependence on the United States. While President Trump has opted to scale back certain tariffs on North American trade partners, Premier I has remained resolute, asserting that Canada should not waver in its countermeasures. He made it clear that his government will not tolerate the persistent threats and uncertainty imposed by the United States. Expressing his frustration with the U.S. administration's approach, he stated that Canada must remain steadfast in its stance and not back down until the tariff threats are completely withdrawn. Although Premier E indicated that the tolls on commercial vehicles would not be implemented immediately, he emphasized that the decision to introduce this legislative tool is a symbolic yet significant step in highlighting the growing strain between the two allies. He acknowledged that the number of trucks impacted would be relatively small, but stressed that the measure is part of a broader strategy to increase pressure on President Trump's administration. As tensions escalate, Canada continues to push back against what it perceives as economic aggression by the U.S. government. The White House's trade policies, which Canada never sought to engage in, have now placed the country in a position where decisive action is necessary. Premier I warned that the tariff response measures being introduced by British Columbia are only the beginning, with additional tools expected to be announced in the coming weeks to protect the province's economy and workforce. In the days ahead, the BC government plans to introduce a comprehensive legislative package designed to safeguard jobs, support businesses, and respond swiftly to the evolving trade challenges created by U.S. policies. Among the proposed measures is the removal of interprovincial trade barriers to strengthen British Columbia's internal economy. The legislation will also mandate that all low-carbon fuel additives for gasoline and diesel be sourced from within Canada, further reducing reliance on U.S. products. Additionally, the province will gain the authority to impose tolls or fees on U.S. commercial vehicles utilizing BC's infrastructure to reach Alaska. Premier I criticized the Trump administration's tariff policies, describing them as a severe miscalculation that will have negative consequences for families and businesses on both sides of the border. He reiterated that his government will stand firm in defending British Columbians, making it clear that all options remain on the table. As an immediate response, BC has already directed its liquor distribution branch to cease purchasing American liquor from Republican-controlled states, effectively removing those brands from public liquor store shelves. Furthermore, all BC government agencies and crown corporations have been instructed to prioritize Canadian goods and services over American alternatives whenever possible. This aggressive stance is part of a broader Team Canada effort, which involves not only the federal government's 25% tariffs on $155 billion worth of U.S. imports, but also countermeasures enacted by multiple provinces and territories aimed at reducing dependency on U.S. trade. British Columbia is also accelerating efforts to expand into new markets and expedite approval processes for major investment projects. The initial wave of projects, valued at $20 billion, is expected to generate approximately 8,000 jobs, with a particular focus on benefiting rural and remote communities. To ensure a well-coordinated and effective response, Premier II has established a Trade and Economic Security Task Force, which includes representatives from the business sector, labor groups, and indigenous communities. Additionally, a task force dedicated to agriculture and food security has been created to safeguard British Columbia's food supply. Meanwhile, a newly formed BC Softwood Advisory Council has been tasked with formulating a diplomatic and trade strategy to protect the province's interests in the ongoing softwood lumber dispute with the United States. A specialized cabinet committee has also been established to oversee the province's comprehensive response to U.S. trade actions. Through these decisive measures, British Columbia aims to protect its economy, safeguard jobs, and shield businesses from the negative repercussions of American tariffs. At the same time, the province is taking proactive steps to build economic resilience and strengthen trade relationships with international partners beyond the U.S. market. Canada plays an essential role in connecting Alaska to the rest of the United States, given that Alaska is a geographical exclave that is not directly connected to the contiguous U.S. by land. The vast Canadian territory between Alaska and the lower 48 states serves as a necessary transit region for travel, trade, and infrastructure. One of the most critical links between Alaska and the lower 48 is the Alaska Highway, also known as the Alcan Highway. This major roadway, constructed during World War II to ensure a secure supply route for military operations, remains the primary overland connection between Alaska and the rest of the United States. Travelers using this highway must drive through hundreds of miles of Canadian territory before reaching their final destination in Alaska. Beyond land transportation, air travel between Alaska and the rest of the U.S. heavily relies on Canada's airspace. Many flights pass through Canadian territory, and some even make stopovers in Canadian cities. The cooperation between U.S. and Canadian aviation authorities ensures the smooth and efficient management of air routes. Additionally, while there is no direct railway connecting Alaska to the contiguous U.S., freight and rail services regularly transport goods through Canada, with the Port of Vancouver serving as a crucial transit hub for shipments to and from Alaska. Canada's energy infrastructure also plays a vital role in facilitating the movement of Alaskan natural resources, including oil and natural gas, to American and international markets. Pipelines and shipping routes running through Canada help transport these valuable resources, contributing to both the U.S. economy and global energy demand. As tensions between the two nations continue to mount, Canada is accelerating efforts to diversify its trade partnerships beyond the United States. Federal and provincial governments are working to shift exports toward markets in Europe, Asia, and Latin America by leveraging existing free trade agreements such as the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, and the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA. This strategy is designed to reduce Canada's vulnerability to U.S. trade policies and lessen economic reliance on its southern neighbor. Despite the strong economic ties between Canada and the United States, repeated tariff disputes have reinforced Canada's determination to pursue alternative trade avenues. The federal government is actively encouraging businesses to explore opportunities in new markets while providing financial assistance to industries that need to adapt to the shifting trade landscape. Canada's response to the latest U.S. tariffs demonstrates a firm and coordinated approach aimed at protecting its economy, workers, and businesses. While legal challenges may be pursued through the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, and the World Trade Organization, WTO, Canadian officials acknowledge that diplomatic pressure and decisive retaliatory actions will play a key role in shaping the outcome of this trade dispute.